Welcome into the ATL Day Ones podcast, and I am Jarvis Davis,
Hey, I'm Tanisha Batiste.
and we are here with you back for on a good Monday. Had a good sports weekend,
Yeah.
and we are. I don't know about you, T, but I am fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting weekend locally and nationally. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. We got the Atlanta Hawks. They go out and get a win against the Brooklyn Nets, 122 to 115. But before we get into that, let me tell you about Bet Online. After about months of playing college basketball, had determined their top two teams. And they will be playing tonight.
Yes.
Kansas versus the
North
North Carolina Tar Heels. I know
Carolina.
your people. Hey, look, Tanitra is excited. You can see she's glowing, and she is excited about Bet Online as well because her team is playing in it. Now, she might not put a bet down, but you definitely can. And go ahead and go to betonline.net. It is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info from the latest odds, contests, and player prop. You name it. This is going to be a big one tonight. So make sure you put a bet on it because Hubert Davis, first year as a head coach at North Carolina, and Bill Self. We all know what Kansas brings to the table. They got some dynamic guards. They're going to be trying to drop some points and take North Carolina out. But as you can see, Tanisha's going to continue to smile, because that's not going to happen. And it is not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Make sure you head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about trends and action. Bet online where the games starts.
Yes.
Tenitra, Trae Young, you were in State Farm Arena. I know you can speak to this a little bit more because I was sitting at home watching it. What about that atmosphere on Saturday night? Well, how was it? What's the atmosphere was like in State Farm Arena?
I started both my pregame analysis and halftime analysis with the same layout, essentially, which was these two teams basically came into this space. It was going to feel and look like playoff or postseason basketball, and it did not disappoint. It was just amazing, wire to wire. Both of those teams were ready. They had their best players in the spotlight, ready to take the stage. First of all, an amazing atmosphere. It's ATL, so everybody
Yes.
came with their A game. Yes, exactly. Everybody brought their A game, which was amazing. The stars were out. That was phenomenal. It was, of course, Quavo night. It was his birthday, so that was pretty cool as well. But yeah, what I really liked about the game, particularly the Hawks game, their play and their intent from start to finish. So it started out a little scary because Brooklyn jumped out to a 9-2 lead, and it's like, oh gosh, is KD just going to get what he wants all night? But what I liked is, as you watched in that first and second quarter, and my thought was really, of course, you don't want KD to get whatever he wants. You don't want Kyrie to be able to get in a rhythm and really facilitate or dictate the flow of that game. The one thing that the Hawks did that was outstanding to me in that first quarter from a defensive side, we can talk offense in a minute, but from the defensive side was they kept battling until they started matching the Nets on the boards. So not giving the Nets opportunities for second chance points. That's how they were able to really, really close out and go into halftime with a 15-point lead. And also being able to just affect KD's shots in that second quarter. Because remember, he goes out into the second quarter with about 12, 14 points, and he goes into halftime with only about 22, 24. So they were able to at least affect his shots. And shout out to Nate McMillan for constantly switching who was guarding Kyrie Irving, because Kevin Huerter gave him some fits at times. TLC gave him some fits at times, but shout out to the ultimate, Delon Wright. Delon Wright has been coming in game after game after game for the bench mob and really giving backcourt fits, really giving the backcourt fits. And he was one of the main reasons that they were able to, for the vast majority of that game, to keep Kyrie in check. So yeah, let KD get his 55. But if you can at least contain Kyrie Irving and everybody else is in check as far as their starters, that's how you win games. That's how you win big games in big moments like that.
And when you think about it, that second unit was really kind of the unit that started the run, right?
Bench
Because
mob.
right, Delon Wright is a guy that he's kind of been up and down throughout
Yes.
the season, and You know, there are times where Delon Wright just doesn't look like he belongs, but as of late, he's been that guy. He's been the guy, especially defensively. And, you know, the Hawks, we've all prayed and hoped and believed that, you know, somebody who's going to take defense seriously. And I think he's one of those guys. And just for him, the way being active and having those active hands, and you start to see one person starts doing it, a guy like Wright, you start to see everybody else start doing it. You start to see Trae Young getting in there and sticking his hand in there, and guys are just going after basketballs and crashing the offensive boards. And can I go ahead and get Clint Capella another shout out? Right? Yeah. You know, he has continued to just look healthy. I know that's a simple statement, but for him, it means a lot because we know that Clint has not been himself this year, you know, overall, but you're starting to really see him kind of come into his own and being that guy that the Atlanta Hawks paid or to come here. You know, get that contract traded for, and, you know, gave him a contract extension afterwards. So, and I just really just like the flow of the game, like you said, defensively. I think it was just something that just really just got on. It kind of really touched my soul a little bit because, you know,
I was excited.
Guy, but, you know, I really value that, you know, that side of the ball. So for those guys to really just use that as a tool to not only, you know, establish themselves in the game, but to, you know, get that lead in that second quarter.
Yes.
And I really think that was something that was just really big for the Hawks.
That was huge. And you made a great comment, and we were kind of bantering around with this question, and I definitely want to get on that because I think it's a great question about Trae and whether or not he's really kind of learned to play with the guys around him. But I wanted to at least co-sign on Clint before we kind of switch gears to Trae, and also give a little shout out to some other members of the bench mob, because it was truly a mob effect. It was not one guy. It was that whole bench that just said, oh, I'm up. Great, bet. Or even the guys who were inserted into the starting lineup, like a TLC who's normally coming from the bench and being able to just give you some quality minutes. At this point in the season, when JC is still probably not going to be in for the play-in round, you hope that you get him if you get to the first round, but you need guys like TLC to give you quality minutes in the start. You need Gallinari to give you quality minutes off the bench. And there were a couple things that I saw that I liked as well. CC, going back to him. Another thing that he's starting to do is go in with authority. CC was having so much trouble, maybe like 5, 6, 7 games back with those point blank shots. This time, he's not trying to just lay it in or trying to tip it in. He is dunking. He is slamming. He is turning around and looking and saying like, okay, I'm going to slam this thing, and then I'm going to get back on defense so that you can't set up in case you don't hit your three-pointer or your mid-range jumper. I'm still going to be right under the basket, ready to get it back to my team so that they can go back and make you pay for not being able to hit that shot. Just the quickness, like you said, because his biggest ability is the availability in all his fullness. So that, I think, has been huge, seeing him kind of go in with authority when he's under the basket. CC was even making free throws Saturday night. Let's not act like, when you look at the box score, let's not act like making those free throws at critical moments don't count, because it does. And then also, we got to give credit to Nate McMillan for knowing when to make the switches, because in the second quarter at the beginning, when the starters were a little bit challenged with getting their offense going, instant offense, Bogey comes in, hits, and it's like, boom, we're on. Instant offense from Gallo. And then, like you said, instant defense from Delon. But the question still comes back to going back to the beginning of the game. When Trae's shot wasn't falling, he is starting to get that instinct. His court vision is just getting better and better. I mean, he was no-looking, folks, all in the first and second quarter saying, oh, I might take the shot, but you don't know. No, you don't know. You don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to take the shot. I mean, it was just amazing to see, because that speaks to that maturity, that growth, that development of knowing who is around you, how to get them started. You know, you got to get Kev Herter out of the gate. You got to get him going with his shot early. Okay, that's how you get him going. Knowing who's on that court with you and what gets them jump started. Yes, Trae is That's where his real impact is, not necessarily in the games where he's scoring 40 and 45 points. Really, it's more about looking at his assist to turnover ratio, because the assists are telling me you've got good ball movement and balance scoring, and the turnovers are telling me that you are being smart when you got to get the basketball out of your hand. You're getting it out quickly and efficiently.
And you know what? And I think all of that, what you just said, like if I could just sum it up in a few words, Trae Young has confidence in his teammates, right? Because TLC wasn't there last year. Delon Wright wasn't there last year, and he's had to build trust with those guys, because at the end of the day, yeah, Trae can go for 40, every night if he wants to, or at least attempt to.
Right.
But he knows what, as far as this team for this 2021-22 season, he needs to be able to get those guys involved. And I think he's learned how to do that.
Yes.
Because those guys are playing better, right?
Yes.
And those guys are available and they're playing better. So for him to be able to, and for example, like Trae had passed the ball to TLC, he shot an air ball. Yes. And probably about a couple situations later, he found him in the corner right there, and TLC right there, right on cue. He hit the 3-pointer right there out of the corner. So I think that for those guys to continue to play like they're playing, right? We talk about how those guys are key factors. Yes. I think the big factor, though, is that they're building more equity with Trae Young as a player and as a distributor. Because Trae Young, the distributor, I could probably make a solid case for him being more dangerous when he does that.
Yeah. No question.
I think that is something that can be really dangerous, especially going into the playoffs.
Yes.
But we'll see how these things play out. Because the Atlanta Hawks currently sit at the 8th seed.
Yes.
But coming up next, the Braves are dealing with a little injury issue with one of their big time relievers. We'll talk about that and whether or not that's going to have an effect on the Braves trying to repeat as World Series champions. That's next on ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We'll be right back.